everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and this is the Astral Library. And I have for you the promised, the long-awaited bookshelf tour. So we are going to go ahead and look at all my shelves. We're going to talk about how they're organized and we're going to get a look at what some of my collection looks like. So strap in, I'm gonna switch mics and we're just gonna go ahead and get a deep dive look at everything. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with the overview of my main shelf. So this is on the back wall of my living room and it goes from about maybe 3 feet from the bottom of the floor to the top of the ceiling. She's a big girl and she hosts the majority of my collection. Now, I have them kind of split in a chaotic sense. I am definitely not looking to do this by genre or alphabetical because that's a lot of upkeep, and I found that it's really hard to add books to your shelves when you're keeping it that way, at least for me. So to mitigate that, I have them sorted roughly into categories, but mostly by vibes. The first of which is this very top one right here. That is my academic. So these are books I've used to study from my undergrad to my master's program, and I believe a bit of high school books are also thrown in there, but mostly undergrad and my master's. The very tippity top up here that's kind of cut off by the camera is my display shelf. So I have my 3 Zelda books. So I have the Hyrule Historia, the Encyclopedia, and I believe the art book. I also have like a Gen 1 Link amiibo up there. I have a mug that was gifted to me by my friend Cindy, and I have a little Han Solo angel monkey because I'm an Angels fan and Star Wars. So the next one down, we have books that I have not read and am somewhat interested in, but like it's a pretty low priority TBR. The one directly below that is bigger series that I'm either in the middle of or I haven't started with, and as well as a couple of other like series that I've finished in my childhood that I'm either trying to collect their entirety of or I have nowhere else to put. The one below that is all the books I have finished and read. So these are all books I have completed either in the series form or as standalone novels. Directly below that is my priority TBR shelf. So these are filled with books I've gotten recently and that I am very, very interested in, but I have not had a chance to grab just yet. And then the very bottom shelf right here is my overflow. So I use it for more books I'm interested in that I'm maybe not as excited to get to. Maybe the kind of desire and love has kind of faded a little bit, but I still want to read them. Books I've read that I can't fit on my red shelf, and again, just like plethora of other things that are overflowing in everything else. This is the next major section I have in my library. It is split into 3 shelves. You recently saw me put this together, so you should have a general sense of what they are, but here's what they currently look like. The top of the shelf is my graphics novels and manga collection, so it is almost entirely read, I want to say, but we'll have a closer look at what some of those series are. Below that, I have my special edition books that I've gotten from book boxes, as well as some Barnes & Noble exclusives, but one thing unique about all of them is that they have these like gorgeous stenciled edges that I always wanted a shelf to display, so now I have one. And the very last shelf down here at the bottom is my serial killer TBR shelf. So it is all the series I'm in the middle of, and this is what I'm pulling when I am doing serial killer. The last section I have in my library in the living room is my favorite corner. So all of these books are my favorites. They're not necessarily broken down to any specific categories, I would say, other than this top shelf right here. For that, over in this corner right here, we have Lord of the Rings paired by a model in the corner over there that is actually my roommate's. It is Lord of the Rings and it just went perfect with my books. Top part right here, we have a little bit of overflow in this section, but all of these books right here, they are books from my childhood, and there's one series in particular that is what I count, which is what I credit as what started me to become a reader that I am today. Okay, the second part of my collection spills into my office. This is, I would say, one of the bigger shelves. Well, I would say they're about equal size, but this is one of the main sections I have. Both of these shelves are filled with books that I'm using for my current PhD program, so books I've either read in class or books I'm using for my own dissertation. There's a slight categorization with them in that this bottom one here is all novels and this top one is more theoretical work, but it kind of overflows into what it is. And the very last portion of my library are these shelves in my office. They mostly live in this area, but it does extend over my door. And these are a mix between my pretty classics right here. These are my more mythology books. And this very top shelf is series that I have finished, but I don't necessarily reach for anytime soon, as well as other kind of like oversized books that I don't know where to put. Okay, so we start with my Lord of the Rings collection, where I mostly have just different editions of Lord of the Rings. So in this box right here, I'm a little too short to stand and touch it, so pardon my blurred finger, but this box right hither is my World of Tolkien. So it is a kind of collection of encyclopedia type works about Tolkien's stories. Right next to it in this little brown book here, I have the actual encyclopedia of the World of Tolkien, also by David Day, same as the author who did the box set. Then I have my all-in-one edition of the Lord of the Rings with the Elvish printed on the pages, and it's so gorgeous. I have my very pretty edition of the Silmarillion, and then next to it I just have 3 editions of Lord of the Rings. I have the pocketbook editions, I have the mass market paperbacks that have the movie tie-in covers, and then I have, I believe, the 50th anniversary editions of the Lord of the Rings series, from The Hobbit to The Return of the King. Also up there, including decor, I have a candle that had the One Ring in it, and like I said, I have a model of a fight from, I believe it's from the Silmarillion. It is not from the Lord of the Rings series on its own. Pivoting just slightly, we have my continuation of the top shelf, which starts with my Illuminae file series. I have my hardbacks that I'm collecting, as well as the completed paperbacks. I have Heartstopper, and then as we pan just a little bit, it gets into some of my childhood favorite books, including series like Emily Windsnap, Sammy Keys, Fanny Flaggs, Fried Green Tomatoes, all books that definitely were influential into my childhood, especially, I'll zoom in here, the Sammy Keys series, which I have here in its entirety, including the final book, A Kiss Goodbye. The series that got me into reading as a kid, and I credit being the book that made me not only love reading, but also set the precedent of my favorite type of main character, which is a badass female lead. Sammy was the blueprint for it all. Dropping to a more manageable level, we have the beginning of my absolute favorite shelves. So we start over here with one of my editions of The Girl and the Dragon Tattoos, or the Millennium series by Stieg Larsson. This box set is just the original 3 novels by Stieg Larsson, and if we pan a little bit down, you'll see that I have the sequel trilogy done by David Lagercrantz, who continued the series after Stieg Larsson passed. I have them both on the shelf and in different locations. 1, because that just happens to be where they go, and 2, because I absolutely love this series and will have both editions on the same shelf because I'm just that big of a fan. I also have my Red Rising saga, and now with the addition of Iron Gold, because I finally started reading the sequel tetralogy, and may I say, things are getting wild, and I cannot wait to have this whole series read and then taking its place on this shelf, because that is where it's going to go. I know it, you know it, and I'm excited. I have Tamora Pierce, who was also, again, a huge influence in my reading journey. I love her to death. In particular, we have the Becca Cooper series with this amazing, like, foiled cover, but Becca Cooper here was like the blueprint to start it all. Her and Sammy just made me fall in love with a badass female lead who take no shit and get shit done. Love her, love this series. But right next to it, we have Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which is, this I believe is the 10th anniversary edition, and it is absolutely stunning. She's so pretty. This foiling, it's just understated. It's clean pages. It's got that motif brought inside. It's got its own ribbon bookmark. All in all, I love this edition so much. And then after that, we have my Cindy Paul collection. Cindy Paul is an indie author who I know personally, and I love her to death, and I love her works to death. So of course they belong on my favorite shelves, and I have everything she's published. I'm waiting for the newest one to come out because your girl is always excited for everything her and her print do, especially because they have such a wonderful mission where they're trying to promote LGBTQIA plus voices and main characters, and that's all they do, and they do it well. Pivoting over here, we have the second half of my first, or technically second level of favorites. We have my Air Awaken series by Elise Kova. This is the Bookish Bach editions. They have this really stunning image that comes together when you put all the spines, but, big but they themselves are so pretty. Next to that, we have my Throne of Glass series. We're not going to spend too much time on her. I do have the original paperbacks. I plan to also get the new hardcovers. The only reason I haven't is because I already own the series and I don't feel like buying it again at this moment in time because these are also the ones I read. Okay, excuse the shakiness as we've gone handheld for this one, but we have my Carry On series by Rainbow Rowell. This is the fan fiction that was made in Fangirl. So I love this series a lot, and I especially love how it is taking a look at the chosen one here and what happens after you finish your destiny, because you have your destiny this one. What do you do? How do you exist as a person? And I think this is a really cool series that took a look at that. And then tucked in the corner here, we have the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I love Marissa Meyer. This is my favorite series by her, or at least one of them. There's two of them that exist on this shelf. I do really want to get the Fairy Loot editions, but I haven't decided if I want to hunt them down just yet. And then we are at the bottom of my favorites corner. So we start off with the Renegade series by Marissa Meyer. This is the second Meyer series I have on my favorites because I love this one also to death. Some days it's a toss up between if I love this one more, if I love the Lunar Chronicles more, because I was really, really intrigued by the notion of good versus evil in the Renegade series. But overall, I really love the characters. I really love the implications of it. And I think if Myers were to return to this world, I would love to see a darker twist on it, especially now that she's taking on more adult books and adult tones. Want to see that. Would love to see that. Am a fan. Besides my Renegade series, I have a couple of early YA books that I read as an adult that I really, really liked, and I think it contained important messages that impacted me even though I was way outside the demographic when I read them. And that is, of course, Looking for Alaska by John Green and Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. I have the Written Red series by Anne Bishop. This is one of my favorite paranormal romance series because I really liked interesting world it takes place in, as well as a main character who is not necessarily a badass female lead like I tend to read, but also still has a lot of power and is very empowering to read about as she kind of takes charge of her life for the first time ever and discovers what she wants and who she wants and learning her own power and autonomy in her life. Then I have The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn, one of my favorite thrillers that I actually buddy read with a friend, and that holds a really fond memory for me and just was a great thriller overall. I have my favorite two F.T. Lukens books, which is Spellbound and So This Is Ever After, books that made me laugh and really just made me love every character I was introduced to. We have the Ugly series by Scott Westerfield, my favorite dystopian book, period. It does not hold up, and I recognize that. But I still think of this world when I think of like a futuristic society, especially when we get to extras. I think that is really and truly what I think of when I think of a society where technology has grown and it's become so prevalent to like what we do. And then we end off with my Japanese editions of the Captive Prince series by C.S. Pacat. These were a gift from my friend because they're just so stunning and she knows how much I love this series, but hate their covers. Continuing on, we have my Midnight Daughter series. These are the 3 books I've read. I believe there's 1 or 2 more hanging out on my TBR somewhere. I do believe there's at least 1 more that's on my series TBR shelf, and I believe there's 1 or 2 I still have to buy, but I love this series. It's actually a spin-off of another of Karen Chance's series, but I don't like that one, and I much prefer The Midnight Daughter over the original. And then shifting slightly, we have the last 2 books in the City of Brass series, or the Davenbod trilogy. You might be asking, Emily, where is the first one? I lent it to a friend and I am making her read it, so I don't have the first book, but best believe that I love it and you should read this series. I read it earlier this year. Every hype you've heard about this book, the like fanfare that this like took over BookTube with a few years ago, it was right, it was correct, and you should read it. Then we have Assassin's Apprentice and my 2 books in the Green Creek series by TJ Klune. These 2 are special editions. This is just the regular UK edition. After that, we have my Grave of Empire series by Sam Sykes. This is a great revenge series. Badass female lead, bisexual female lead who ends up with a woman. Go figure. And it's written by a man and it's actually good. Like a great, well-developed, interesting female character written by a man in fantasy? she's a unicorn. But also, Sam Sykes' mother wrote the Outlander series. You know, like the biggest selling romance series of all time. He can write a romance. The romance in these books, great. And also, can we just like take a moment for the spines? Like the spines are gorgeous, and then we pull it out, and that's the cover. All the covers are also so stunning. These were cover buys, and they quickly turned into one of my favorite series of all time. Like, make that make sense. Make that make sense. And then we're getting into some truly hard-hitting series. We have the Legendborn series by Tracy Deonn, books 1 and 2. Book 3 I have not read yet. Believe me, it's coming. It will go right here. It'll be perfect. I know. Then we have the, I think this is just called the Dark Rise series for now. I don't think there's a bigger name, but this is by C.S. Pacat, the same author who did Captive Prince, which is actually hanging out right over here. If you want really intricate plot and like a great enemies to lovers, first off, best enemies to lovers period I've ever read is in this series. No matter who or what genre, nothing does it like Captive Prince. And then the Dark Rise series has quickly become my latest obsession. I need everyone to read this. If you're watching this video, pause it, go read these 2 books and come back and chat to me in my comments. Or you can go check out a whole vlog I did reading these 2 books, and oh my god, the theories that are in my head, the way this book ended, we're gonna stop, because if you let me continue, this whole video is going to be about these 2 books or about Captive Prince, and we don't have the time. And then to top it all off, I have a series I was obsessed with. It is the All for the Game series by Nora Sakovic. This is an indie author and self-published series. It has 3 core books that follow Neil Jostin, but she has just released the sequel trilogy that takes place after the events of these books that follow another character, and she has announced a duology that takes place before this series and after the events of the sequel series. The woman has come back swinging in this world, and I'm obsessed. I have not read them yet. I'm going to wait till they're all out, and then I'm going to binge all of them, I think in chronological order, so my heart can be ripped out in the best way and worst ways, because this woman just like tragedy befalls these characters, and it's great and also terrible. And then closing out the favorite section, we have a few standalones. We have another book by Nora Sakovic, a series that is never going to be finished and I'm sad about. We have Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, which is my favorite work by Alice Oseman, period. Even over Heartstopper. We have When Among Crows by Victoria Roth, a new series that is being published. I'm so excited for the sequel to come out. Love the first one. We have the first book in the Murderbot Diaries, which I will be continuing to collect. We have Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. And then we have the OSI series by Just Bodice, which is a paranormal romance series that I was obsessed with as a kid, and definitely one of the core ones that got me into the genre. Okay, next we have my graphics novel series. Again, it's too high for me to comfortably point and be in focus, so we're gonna try our best here. So we have my stack of oversized, so usually these are bigger collections. So I have my Night Eater series by Marie Lu. I have Paper Girls, the first 2 volumes in the collector's editions. I've recently acquired the first 2 collector's editions of Monstrous, which I got volume 1, which is down here, for $15. That's insane for how big of a book, and it was still wrapped. Oh, it was a steal. I couldn't resist, and I bought book 2 at the same time. And then hanging out here at the bottom in bright blue is Saga, the first volume, and again, the collector's editions, which is my preferred way to collect graphic novels, if I'm going to be honest, just because I tend to read them too fast to buy the single volumes. Then I have, again, just continuing my graphic novel series. So we have more oversized comics and a few single issues, like tucked right here, but just oversized graphic novels. We have a couple of manga and manhwa. We have Tokyo Revengers, the first 2 volumes, I believe. It's an omnibus. We have A Stepmother's Machen, and then we have The Adventure Zone and My Lore Olympuses. Once again, some more oversized graphic novels and comics. I have Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Batman, Witcher, Dragon Age, and then my Teen Titan series by Gabriel Piccolo and Cami Garcia, I believe is her name. Love them. I've been following Piccolo's art for years and they're just beautiful. Look at the art, and if I can open it, the art's just stunning. So I really enjoy that series and I do collect them because I've been a big fan of his art for this entire time. And then tucked in this corner, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more, we just have some more graphic novels. A lot from first, second publication, Sailor Moon manga tucked in that back corner. And I recently got a blind box and I got Chopper. It's this like Anatomy special edition, so there's all the Straw Hats in this way, and I might try to get them all. Even the blind boxes are gambling and addiction that I'm not sure I fully want to invest in, but I might because I do want to get all of the Straw Hats. Back again on a reachable shelf, we have my special edition shelf. So these are a mixture of Broken Binding as well as Fairy Loot editions, and I believe a couple Owl crates, most of which are Broken Binding. So we'll go through what each of these series are. I'll show you my favorite book from the collection rather than showing you all of them because it will take us hours if we're gonna be here. This first series right here is the Mask of Mirrors series, or I believe the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick. And honestly, I just really love this first book. It's stunning. I love the blue of it, and the artwork is again gorgeous. So, and of course it has the teaser in the back. This series is so pretty. Princess was over at my house and she saw this book and immediately was like, I have to buy it. How much will you sell them for? To which I said 0 because I too love this series and want it, but she did end up finding it and then she too bought it. So beautiful. Your friends get jealous and want to buy the books themselves. Then we have the Gentleman Bastard series, which is the Lies of Locke Lamora. I'm gonna pull out the Republic of Thieves. Oh, it's by Scott Lynch. I always forget, but I love this cover. I don't know who these people are. This is the last book in the series. This makes me want to read it because, like, again, the blue, but like, what is going on with these people? Why are they so menacing? And then these gorgeous end pages. I believe they're different on both sides. Yep. So another stunning edition of a series, again, I've yet to read. So well packaged and glad I have them. And then pivoting, we have my Eragon series. This was the special edition done by, again, Broken Binding. We're gonna start with Eragon. The way Saphira is just like haloed by this sunburst, the blues and the reds, so stunning. And it's continuing all around. So we get her in her full glory and we get her on the edges. Stunning. Stunning, stunning editions. Of course, we get beautiful end pages, different on both sides. We get a nice picture of Christopher Paolini. And I haven't shown the rest of them, but we do get special printed hardbacks. I'm not going to show you that for everyone because we'd be here again all day. Scooting down once more, we have a classic series that I have not read. This is, I have to pull it out because I don't remember. This is the Dragonborn Chair, so it's the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series by Tad Williams, a very, very popular classic. I believe from like the 80s, I want to say, which I've never read anything old school fantasy minus some of the Lord of the Rings. We saw those spines, right? And the swords, they're, oh my god. I'm very intrigued. I will be reading this series. I know nothing of what it's about other than the last book was so long, they had to split it into 2 books. Pretty end pages. Again, different on both sides. We got Tad Williams himself. Stunning. I would keep these books just to have these swords on my shelves forever. The last Broken Binding series I have is the Grunbone Saga by Fonda Lee. This is the Jade City series, is probably how most people know it, which stunning. Honestly, I can't pick a favorite out of these. I just love these spines so much. Like these stained glass figures. Oh my god. The amount of times people come up to me like, Emily, what are those books? I have to say that the Grunbone Saga. I've heard great things about it. Haven't read it yet. And I was waiting until I got my hands on like a nice hardback, and then I got these when I like just signed up to the Broken Binding, and I have to say, worth every penny just for these alone. But also, if you're gonna do any like subscription box, I highly recommend the Broken Binding because not only are you getting completed series, but they're just so well packaged and they get here so fast. I love them. I cannot tell you how much I sing their praises, and I'm not even sponsored. This is just me telling you how much I love them because I love them, and you too should love them and subscribe to them because they do older series like the Ted Williams series, but they also do really recent and popular series like the Greenbone Saga. So win-win, you get beautiful editions. And then we have kind of my spillover between Fairy Loot and Alacrate when I was subscribed to them. I couldn't tell you which one's which at this point. This is lore. I think this might be Alacrate. I believe this is The Last Flower Bride, Fairy Loot, and just again a plethora. I know this one's Fairy Loot. This is the Babel book by R.F. Kuang. Haven't read it yet. I know. Everyone loves this edition. It's like, Emily, I would buy it from you, but no, I too want the Dark Academia book in its pretty edition. Her Majesty's Royal Coven. This one I know. This is Dowry of Blood. This is the Fairy Loot. It is so pretty. I'm so glad I have it. And I'm gonna show you this one because this is probably my favorite Fairy Loot edition. It is The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the first one I read from Shannon Chakraborty, and my God, like these edges, gorgeous. The end pages, stunning on both sides. Stunning. Love a map. Love a foiled map. Didn't know I needed it. And then I believe this is not a special edition. I think this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Immortal Dark. Same with this one. This is Sons of Darkness, also a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. So these two are probably easier to get if you love them. Okay, and then we have the last shelf on this section, which this is my series TBR shelf. I'm not going to go over each and every one of these because I tend to do that I have a whole video of like going through every series I'm in the middle of, and I talk about this shelf pretty extensively on Serial Killer, but I'm gonna give you just a little peek on what is on this shelf so you can take a look. Nice little pan of everything. But how this is set up, so it's really nice to me, I have my stick TBR jar, which is very outdated. And if I were to pull from, would probably give me something I'm very not interested in reading, or maybe have unhauled or may have read. I do need to go through them again. In fact, I think I'm looking at one I have already read. But how this is broken up is that we have books that I need only one more to catch up in, to books I have like 2 in, to extra. The most egregious is probably the Mercy Thompson series because it used to be 4. I'm currently reading this one, but there's still 3 left, and Patricia Briggs tends to put out a book a year. So it's very likely that there's gonna just be another one that pops up here before I catch up to her fully, because that woman doesn't know how to stop. Just again, another little pan. These are all the series I'm in the middle of that I need to get my ass in gear and finish. Alright, so like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time at this very top shelf, but I did want to kind of give you a glimpse of what I got. So I have a whole collection of Nortons. I tend to pick these up when I find them secondhand. Mainly focused on American literature, which is most of my editions, but a couple of Brit-Lit, and I believe I have like one World Lit. We're not gonna do too much again on the shelf. We have some Toni Morrison books. I believe almost all her books. There's a more panned look. Up here I got my Zelda books. So again, the Hyrule Historia, the encyclopedia, and then the art book. There's my amiibo. There's my mug. There's my Han Solo Angel Monkey. Just one down, we have again that miscellaneous shelf. These are books that I'm interested in, but I have no urgency to get through for any matter. These are books like Fable by Adrienne Young, The Trickster, which is a sequel series that I haven't read the first series to get on with. Got Anne Rice's Prince Lestat. Some more historical type of fantasy like Anno Dracula, Lakeside Edge, The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Not fantasy, but still more historical based. Afterworlds, The Bone House by Emily Lloyd Jones. I have The Final Ghost of Parker, which I have read. This actually is one of the few read books on the shelf, I think. Night World series that is not finished, but a classic YA paranormal romance series that I do want to read. Ninth House, which I really should just unhaul. I don't I don't like Leigh Bardugo, but I keep saying I'm gonna give it another try. So it's up here until I eventually give up. Dorothy Must Die, Mexican Gothic. I will say this one's interesting. So I'm collecting this series. This is the True Blood series. I don't think it's called that for the books, but that's what I call it. So I'm trying to collect them in these hardback editions, but I'm only finding them used. So I don't own all of them yet. And I haven't started them. Like, I don't even, this is not the beginning. This is just wherever I find them and I grab them. And then I have a couple of Olivia Blake. This is the Atlas 6. I think there's one more in this series. I just don't have it. Okay, back to a more manageable level, but not fully. You're at least back on a tripod, so there should be more stable footage. This is my, again, another low priority TBR shelf. Some of this contains some of the bigger series that I am either in the middle of or I'm collecting to start afterward. So we have some nonfiction with I Am Malala, Eleanor Park, which I've read. This is the 2 other books in the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I did not enjoy the first book, but I hear that the audiobooks are particularly bad and that if you read them, they're better. So they're on my low TBR because honestly, I didn't have a great time, so I'm skeptical about continuing on, but I love V.E. Schwab, so I will give her one more shot by physically reading. Same thing about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which this is out of order. Pivoting down, we have my Patricia Cornwell series, which you can see I'm collecting quite a bit of. She is my next big like continuation series that I will read just periodically. I am only allowed to pick these up when I find them for a really, really good deal at a used bookstore. I'm talking like I got all of these books minus I think Autopsy for $1. And that's when I picked them up because they're cheap and because my mom read these books throughout my entire life growing up and she thinks I'll really like them. So I've been collecting them to read after I finish my next big series, which is on the end of the shelf. But I figured why not grab these books while I am collecting them and finding them for like $1 or cheaper. It just makes a lot of sense. And the only reason why Autopsy was not part of that was because I originally bought that book for my mother for Christmas. She decided that she was going to buy an audiobook during Christmas time and decided to buy that book, despite the fact that she put that book on her list for people to get her. It is what it is. So now I own it and it will be part of my Scarpetta series as I continue to collect and overrun my bookshelf. It'll be a nice series to read again after I finish my other one because I'm so close to finishing it. It's insane. Pivoting down a little bit more, we have my Odd Thomas series by Dean Koontz, as well as like another random book by Dean Koontz. I got a few books I have read that kind of overflowed from my read shelf. So I have a couple of nonfiction books. I have The Storied Life of A.J. Ficklery. I have Every Word You Never Said, which is a super sweet YA book and super pretty. Hold on. Like, that book is stunning. I love everything about it. It's so sweet and cute. There's more art in it, and I think more art on the back. It was just a really cute, gay, cozy romance. It also was one I picked up on a whim. Pivoting further down, we have my Stillhouse Lake series by Rachel Caine. May she rest in peace, because I recently found out she did pass away, which was very sad. And then we just have, again, some of these are like older series that I'm trying to collect or recollect. So I have Eon and Iana by Alice Goodman. That was a series I read as a kid that I enjoyed. Probably problematic now. Don't want to think too hard about that one. I have the Rose and the Dagger series by Renee Ahdieh. I have the I think the last 4 books in the Vampire Academy series by Rachel Mead. I fucked with that series so hard in high school. I don't care what anyone says. I love that shit. I eat it up. It was one of my favorite vampire stories growing up. A lot of fun. We don't talk about the movie. I think the second one they did was better. I read those books like a book a day. Like so fast and so much that my teacher actually commented on it. She's like, Emily, every day you come in my class, you have a different book, and they're big books. I was like, they're sucking me in. I can't help it. They've got me hooked. And then paired with that, just over, we have the Twilight series. So my mixed collection of them, we have the 2 paperbacks of Twilight and New Moon, and then the 2 hardbacks that are long missing. They're Dust Jackets, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. Where those Dust Jackets go, I have no idea. Will I ever replace them? I do kind of want to get a full hardback set because somebody did these like really pretty like custom dust jackets. I'll throw some up on the screen now. They're so gorgeous and I want them. I think they just fit the vibes and it would mean my set would finally match. Scooting a little bit further down, we have my Discovery of Witches series, one of which is missing the dust jacket because my mom lost it, not me. I need to replace it, but I'm trying to only find these out in the wild and it took me forever to refine Discovery Witches. How long is it gonna take me to find a Shadow of Night? No idea. But one day it will be had without me having to buy it wholesale again because these books are expensive and I don't want to do it. And then at the end of the shelf is my Creme de la Creme series that I've gotten somehow mysteriously, which is the Kinsey Millhone series by Sue Grafton, or as I often call it, the Alphabet series, where each book is actually based off a letter in the alphabet. I have hardbacks from H to Y, and I have in the corner over here the paperbacks for the rest of the series. I am trying to get this series fully in hardback, but I am trying to collect them again out in the wild where they're easily obtained for the most part if you find them, and they're relatively cheap. I am finding it very hard to find the last little section, but overall, I would say it's been going pretty good. Starting on the first of the red shelf, I would say the main of the red shelf, we have these books here. So these again aren't in any order, so they're not from like I read the latest to I read the oldest or anything like that. It is just wherever they went. So we have Vicious by E. Schwab. We have things like Concrete Rose, Crow Girl, which I actually just finished relatively recently, Under the Oak Tree, Razorblade Tears, Gods. Here's where the majority of my Mercy Thompson series lives. She's many in its number. I think there's 14 books entirely. And then we have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. We got the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. We have the Vagrant God series, the first two books. We got the first book of Masks and Mirrors. And then here, I'm going to scoot us down just a little bit so we can see this head on. This is my Dawn May section in my library. So I have Thousand Autumns, which I have not read yet. So this actually should go one shelf down, but I like it up here with the rest of the Dawn May. So this is the mostly read shelf. Then I have Husky and His White Cat Shizen. I have Grandmaster, Demonic Cultivation. I have the first book in Scum Villains. I have first book in Guardians, and then I have Heaven Official's Blessing in its entirety. And then next to it is actually the hardcover editions that I'm collecting. So they are up to 5 right now. Yeah, this is number 5. So I have all of them. I have the rest of them pre-ordered, so I will be getting them. And they are absolutely gorgeous. Like, can we have a moment for this cover? And then we have like these gorgeous spines. Now you might be asking, Emily, why don't you show those spines? And the answer is because this shelf in particular gets a lot of light. There's a window over there, and that's a west facing window. So the light comes and just hits this shelf in particular really hard. And so I didn't want to have my pretty spines out and then ruin them by like getting faded. We just get the covers, because if these spines get a little faded, I won't care as much. Down a bit more, we have some thrillers. These are the 2 books. This Night Swim was the first one. I don't know if the series is called anything yet, but it's a connected series, so it's 2 different cases, but the same main character. Then we have Friday Black and Ring Show, amazing Black-centered fantasy / horror-esque novels. Love them. We have the Hawthorne Legacy series. It is 3 books, but the author's recently doing a spin-off series following the brothers. I'm gonna be really honest with you. Read this one, a lot of fun, probably the best one of the bunch. Read this one and then stop. This book is so bad. It ruins everything. Just don't do it. Just stop here. So much better. More conclusion. Stop here if you just want a good time. Read here if you want conclusion to good time. Don't read. Scooting down a bit, we do have Ice Planet Barbarians, which gorgeous cover design. Actually a lot of fun, despite being exactly what you think it is, but it does it surprisingly well. Like, actually enjoyed myself reading it. We got Red Queen, we got Bride, we got The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, we got Labyrinth, Fangirl, The House of Cerulean Sea, which I love, got The Help, which is problematic, but I also do have a lot of fond memories of the movie and reading this in a college course. Children, Blood and Bone, another recent read, also really enjoyed it. A Darker Shade of Magic, really didn't enjoy it. My original copy of Radio Radio Silence that I keep over here because I don't need to keep both of them on my favorites. We got some Darren Shan, another childhood favorite of mine. We got some Nina LaCour, which wrote some of the best like heartfelt YA books, I think, like especially contemporary YA dealing with like depression and loneliness. I think these books are really, really good for that. We have the only Emily Henry book I own and I've ever read, and that is her YA book called The Love That Split the World. I was given this to my mom for Valentine's one year and I read it and I actually really enjoyed it. So I am curious to read her adult stuff that everyone goes crazy for. We also got the Bromance Book Club, which I really enjoyed. We have the Selection series, the first 3 novels. I've only read this. I didn't read the spinoff Following Their Daughter. I don't care. And then at the end here, we have one of my favorite romance series, which is the War Prize series by Elizabeth Vaughn. Love this so much. Great, like, captor romance, but kind of, sort of, not really. It reminds me a lot of Daenerys and her love interest at the beginning of Game of Thrones. I don't remember his name. I barely watch Game of Thrones, but those vibes in book form, and 3 books. All good. I've had to rebuy this book because I gave it to someone and they kept it. So I just had to re-get it. And then this series, I don't remember the name of it. It's Morgan Howell. I've had it forever. And the first one is Girl Worth Like 1,000 Copper Pieces or something like that. Captive romance, but more fantasy in this one than in War Prize. War Prize is generic romance. So it gets more fantasy in this last one. Like, even if you'll see that it goes from Tor romance to Tor paranormal romance. But most of this, I think you can get away if you're not like a huge paranormal romance person. Okay, this next shelf is my priority TBR shelf. So it is filled with all the books I've acquired recently or that I just have a lot of interest in reading recently. And this one is, again, in no particular order other than I shove it where I can get it. So like one of the things I got recently was Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Bullman. I probably butchered that, but whatever. I actually got this on the recommendation of a friend who was staying with me recently, and we exchanged books. So like he told me to get this one and I told him to get Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. That's a recent one. Other ones include some arcs that I got. So this was an arc. I have the arc. God, I think it's further down, but this is another arc I got. This is F.T. Lucan's newest book that I'm very excited for. We got Blood Over Brighthaven. We got David Daglish's new series. We have some older stuff too. We have Lessons in Chemistry, which has been out for a while. We have Stitches by David Smalls. We got Quicksilver, which is a book talk favorite. This is pretty cool. This is an arc of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I got that at freaking Y'all West, and that's amazing. I'm so happy to have it in my hands. I have not read it yet. It is on the priority TBR shelf because I do want to get to it relatively soon. We have another arc of Evil-ish. I believe this is a graphic novel. Yep. We have Foundry Side, the complete series. Why is this book taller than the others? I just noticed that, and that's gonna drive me crazy. It's like are you seeing this? I'm gonna get you closer. Look at that difference. Look. You can jump off that. That's crazy. We got Blood in the Root. We got the sequel series to the Farseer trilogy. So this is the first book in that. Haven't read the Farseer trilogy in its entirety yet, but did pick this up to just start it, just in case. These 2 books, don't know the name of this series, but it's the Curse of the Saints and the Curse of Sins. I think Curse of the Saints is book 1. I picked them both up at the same time because their covers are gorgeous. And this one was 50% off. I couldn't not get it, you know? Winter's Promise. This one's really cool. So this is Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. And what's cool about this is the taller paperback version, which you cannot find here in the US very often. I actually got that from my friend in the Netherlands. She's a doll and sent it, and I love her to death because I much prefer these taller paperbacks than these shorter ones. Moving down some more, we got like Dungeon Crawler Carl, which everyone and their mother's been talking about, and I want to read very soon. We have Laini Taylor's duology that everyone loves, so Strange the Dreamer and The Muse of Nightmares. Both very gorgeous books. I really enjoyed her main series, Daughter Smoke and Bone, but I hated how that ended. So I'm hoping that this one's better because a lot of people tend to like this one more than that one. So I'm hoping that's the reason why, because this one ends a little bit better. We have a book I've actually started and I haven't finished, which is Paul Beatty's The Sellout. I got this as a recommendation from a friend. We have Empire of Vampire by Jay Kristoff. We have some TJ Klune. We have Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. Paranormal Romance, I believe. New one that just came out not too long ago. Moving on down, we do have some sci-fi like Persephone Station by Stina Lachette. We have Hannibal. I don't know why this one's here. I've read Hannibal. This one shouldn't be here, but I have not read Hannibal Rising. I think this was supposed to be Red Dragon. I don't know why it's here, other than the fact that I might have just slotted them together. But I have in fact read Hannibal. I do have the Diviner series. I have 2 in paperback and 2 in hardback. I might try to swap these for the hardback versions because I prefer hardback. And if I'm half and half, I'm gonna get them in hardback. Moving on down some more. We have things like House of Frank by Kay Sinclair. We have Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. We got the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, the first 2 books at least. We have Magic for Liars. We have The Will of the Many, which I have started, but I have not finished it. And behind that, we actually have Hail Mary, because when you stack books out like this, sometimes it's nice to put 2. And then towards the end of this, we have a mixture. This one, which I just got recently, and this is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Horanek. Again, we're gonna stop saying author names because I'm just gonna butcher them all. We got The Shadow of What Was Lost, The Blade Itself, which I've actually just heard like not great things about recently, so I'm like, So this might have to move from priority to non-priority just because I'm slowly losing interest out of it. Though I hear the first book is fun, but the rest of the books feel samey. If you've read it, let me know in the comments down below. Should it stay on priority or should it move down? We have Victoria Aveyard's newest teen, like young adult series, so Realm Breaker and Blade Breaker, which are the first 2 books. I haven't had the 3rd yet. We have My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is one of the best covers, period. I love the 80s VHS vibe. The Hate List by Jennifer Brown. We have a couple more arcs. Like I have the arc to The Scammers by Tiffany Jackson, which is the first Tiffany Jackson book I will have read. I have the Raven Scholar, which I just got. Love this like shiny silver cover. Stunning. Another arc I have is The Queen of Faces by Petra Lord. And we have Ace of Spades here at the end, simply because I must have run out of room to put anywhere else. And at the bottom of my main shelf here, this is again the overflow of books that I have. It's just kind of mixture of a lot of things. Like at the end here, we do have some books that I have read. So we have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Paolini. We have The Savage Song. We have A Promise of Fire. We have the Black Jewels trilogy, which I have not fully read, but I have read the first book. And then we have some unread books like The Jessie Show, Instant Karma Twin, or The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. We have The Bone Shard Daughter, the first 2 books by Andrea Stewart. Got Priory of the Orangey Tree, which I'm avoiding like the plague because it's so thick and I'm worried I'm not gonna like it and I'm gonna feel like it's a waste of my time. We got Keanu Reeves' book, which I will read. Another red book with Rainbow Rowell's Scattered Showers. This is a short story collection. We got some V.C. Andrews, talk about old school. We got Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Her last fucking chance to make me like her because I hated Enchantment of Ravens and I am very worried I'm not gonna like this one, but the covers are so beautiful. Like Enchantment of Ravens was stunning, but it was a shit book in my opinion. It was just not good. A little bit further down, we got some Alice Oseman. We got Rust and Root. We got Sons of the Storm. We have some other TJ Klune. We have my Truth Witch series being divided by Replica for some reason, other than I probably just stuck it there and I didn't think. We got some sci-fi. We have some contemporary books with the last book I need to read of Nina LaCour's contemporary fiction. I've read everything else by her at this point. We have some more red books. We have Lights Out, which was a lot of fun. Recommend the audiobook a lot. There's another arc here for the Love Club. We got my Aristotle and Dante series on a Sunbeam, Gutter Mage. And then these are actually new editions I got recently. The Legends of Exorcism. This is a new Don May that I saw that was beautiful that I couldn't help but get, even though I'm on a Don May buying. Even though I'm on a Don May buying ban, I still picked this one up because look at this cover. So gorgeous. And I did pick up the volume 1 of Dazzle by Minari Enoda. I love this series. I don't think it was ever finished fully, but God, I used to be obsessed with it as a kid. Picking up for the volume 1 to show my love for it. And it's an old school Tokyo Pop version. How cool is that? That's it for the shelf. The ones we have left are in my office, and then we'll be done. Yay! Okay, much like my academic books, on the very top of my main shelf, we're not gonna spend too much time here just because it's a lot of boring topics, or rather a lot of like intellectual topics that aren't necessarily accessible and or interesting to most people, and kind of know what you guys are here for other than they exist on my shelves. So this is my office. Most of the books on this shelf are theoretical texts. So I have things like Black Feminist Thought, which is really good. We have the Black Atlantic, which is like modernism theory. We have theory of the novel. We just have a lot of like theoretical texts that are all part of my own personal project. So some of these are a mix of things I've read for class. A lot of them are what I have picked up for my dissertation project. If you would like to know more, you can leave a comment and I will explain it to you. But it's a whole bunch of nerdy things that I find really interesting and that I need a lot of books for to write, because they make you write like so many papers and you gotta read to do it. Now, this second shelf might be a lot more interesting because it contains a lot of the books I've read for classes that I read to teach. And you might be looking at one glaringly weird one, which is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. Technically, I did not read this for a class, but I did read it as part of a book club with the rest, with some other people in my cohort, where we talked about the book and read it and discussed things in a more academic sense, which was fun. But mainly we got it and had it paid for because we can read it for fun, and it was a nice thing to do over the summer. We also have things of books of like taught, like The Handmaid's Tale graphic novel, which is a good graphic novel with really pretty art in it. I love how color is used, and it doesn't mince like what goes on in that series, or rather that book. We have things like, what will be interesting, W. Du Bois's Dark Princess, which is one of his only novels he wrote, like actual fictional novels. Stepping a little further down, we have more Harlem Renaissance texts. These are often what I read for the majority of my studies and what my area of focus is on. So we got things like The Marrow Tradition by Charles Chestnut. We have Passing by Nella Larson, as well as her other story, Quicksand. We have Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. So just a ton of stuff. Again, things I'm reading for my paper, things I've read for class, but these all are more of on the novel side rather than the theoretical side. For some sanity, we're gonna start bottom top for here. So on this bottom shelf here, I'd have my mythology section. We got a bust over here, and we just got these boys. It's not a very big section. So starting off, we have some classics in the genre. We have Madeline Miller's Circe. We have Jennifer Saint's Ariadne. We got some just classic mythology. We got Percy Jackson in the house making an appearance. We have a couple of versions of the Odyssey and the Iliad. More the Iliad than the Odyssey. I think I just have the one. Another Greek myths book right there. Some mythos, or like a lot of like built-in legend stories. Like Half Stick of Shadows is built in Arthurian legends, God of Jade and Shadows, more Mexican/Mayan mythos, and we got some person we're not gonna talk about. So I also have them bookended by these arrow bookends, which I thought were really fitting, you know, especially with the Iliad and the Odyssey being like front and center, like, you know, if you know, you know. On this middle shelf here, I have my pretty classics. So a lot of these are my leather-bound editions of classic literature, so a mixture of like Barnes & Noble exclusive, like I have right here and here. I have some Easton Press, like my prized possession, like The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have the Easton Press edition, and it's beautiful. It's signed and everything. Love it to death. Otherwise, I have just a mixture of really pretty leather-bound editions, like I have Pygmalion, I have Arthur Miller Plays, I have quite a bit of Great Gatsby on this shelf. I have my favorite pop art edition of Dracula. You can see I have quite a few editions of Dracula and Frankenstein and The Great Gatsby. That's another recent edition I got of Dracula. We have my Paper Mill Press editions of classics. So we have Dorian Gray, we have Frankenstein, we have Dracula, we have The Great Gatsby. The pair to my Dracula of Frankenstein. And what's cool about these, I'm not gonna pull them out because they're kind of like integral to holding something back. If you look behind them, it's actually the back of their heads. If I can, I'll throw in some photos on screen now, but very cool. And at the very end here, we have some Edgar Allan Poe. We have my J.D. Salinger collection. These are the Centennial editions here in white. And then I have my original edition of The Catcher in the Rye. I have a really pretty edition of Lord of the Flies. We got Little Women, and we have my children editions of both The Great Gatsby and Dracula, which are stunning. Watch, I'll pull them out. So they're both such like tiny editions, but they're so well made. Like they're sturdy, they're like a waxy paper, so you're not worried about like food or water really damaging them. So they're a really good one to like tote around, other than the fact is that they're really pretty and you don't want to do that because they're pretty. But good editions to use as like a traveling book, I think. Okay, and again, we're at a precarious angle for this one because it's so high up, but we do have some books here on this top shelf. So we got some books from a person we don't talk about, but they were gifts, so I do like to show them, and they are part of my collection. I have this really pretty print from the Tears of the Kingdom. So this was given to me by a friend. I really enjoy it. The illustrated edition of The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I think I can't see the name from here. I have actually never read Hunger Games. Fun fact, I was thinking of doing a vlog where I read Hunger Games start to finish with the books that have come out since. So let me know what you think and I will maybe do that. I have more of my SJM books. So we have Crescent City series, which was so disappointing. I love the first book so much. It's amazing. The rest of the books I wish did not exist, to be honest with you. We have A Court of Thorns and Roses, where I'm missing the only book in the original series, which is A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the one everyone and their mother loves and wants their hands on, and tried to sell for so much money, despite the fact that these books were published in like en masse. So there's a million of them that exist out there. Just because she switched the cover does not mean you need to charge me 50 bucks for one book. Doesn't need to happen. So that's why I don't have that one. And eventually I will get it, or eventually I'll get rid of them. I haven't decided what I'm going to do quite yet because I am done reading the series and I have no plans on continuing with it. Scooting a little bit further down, we have my only series by Leigh Bardugo that I enjoy, which is the Six of Crows series, which are in the wrong order. Whatever, we're gonna ignore that. We have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. Again, loved the first book. Thought the second book was interesting. The last book was terrible. Speaking of, same thing with the Blood Trials. Really enjoyed the Blood Trials, hated the Blood Gift. It made me stick this series up here because this is my I'm Trying to Forget About You series, or I Don't Know Where Else to Put You series, which is the same thing about the Raven Boys. Really enjoyed the first three, did not like the ending of the last book. Felt like it didn't fit. Felt like it was an assassination of some care. But overall, I think a vibey series, and I think worth a recommendation even now. My illustrated edition of Aragon by Christopher Paolini, and we have my Harleen graphic novel by an artist I followed for a very long time. I follow both him and his wife, talented artists that have very similar styles. But that is the end of the shelf, and thank God. All right, everyone. That is the bookshelf tour as promised. God, these videos take forever in a day to film, but we are done. You have seen my collection, which is over the 900 bookmark, and God, does it feel like it whenever you do a video like this. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my collection up close and personal, getting to know a little bit of how they're organized, getting maybe a better sense of how things are laid out. Maybe kind of sort of, but that's gonna be it for me. I am so tired. I again hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please consider leaving a thumbs up and a comment down below. Let me know what is a book you saw on my shelves that you absolutely adore and or want for yourself. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.